Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Justy.
And together we're losing it.
We both lost over 100 pounds by developing healthy habits.
And I also had weight loss surgery and used a GLP-1 medication.
And I used a GLP-1 medication and had skin removal surgery.
We're really passionate about helping people learn to live a healthy lifestyle by sharing our experiences.
But we're not doctors, so if you have questions, reach out to your medical team. And you may see our mascot Sancho pop up from time to time.
And all three of us hope that you find our content useful.
All right, welcome back, everybody. If you watched the last episode that we put out, you will have heard us talk a little bit about what we were going to lean into this week. And this is one that Justy came up with because we've had quite a few. And you hear a lot of it talked about in the community, but it is the unexpected benefits of losing weight. And we're not talking necessarily like the non-scale victories because those are easy, right? Like the seatbelt on the airplane. I just had that on my trip out here. I was like, look at all this seatbelt.
The towel,
Or like the towel
normal
wrapping
size
around.
towel that fits
Yeah.
around me. I
Not,
still love that though. That still feels
not,
great.
yes, and not those. Those are definite, non-scale victories are definitely great, but more so the just things that you don't really think about. Sorry, I could feel it getting a little froggy back there. And that is more so along the lines of things that like come with the confidence that you have. And listen, even after losing weight and getting into maintenance, we still struggle sometimes with confidence while we have it. There'll be days when we don't have it, days when we
Mm-hmm.
need to, lean on each other to find it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's not always there, but when it is there, you're elevated to another level. We were talking a bit about dating, which I know we've talked about a lot lately, so my apologies. But like even Justy was saying, when she and I were talking earlier, like she just won't allow her to date somebody who doesn't meet the standards that doesn't meet her life where her life is now.
Right.
And not to be rude or snotty or anything like that, but if somebody isn't and you don't have, I don't want to say you have to like own your own home, but you got to be stable.
Mm-hmm.
And you've said this before, if somebody is able to move in with you, to move out of you wherever they are and into your place in a matter of like 2 weeks, there's probably something wrong
Something
there.
they're not set up. And I have girlfriends that are in the dating world and they have lived with men pretty quickly. And I'm always thinking like, man, if they could make that move that quick, that they didn't have their shit together, right?
Yeah,
Because
because something's not
if
tying
I
them
were to
down.
move in, if I were to move into a man's house, I'd have to, it would be a month to 3 month process to my lease or selling my home in Florida or whatever, right? I couldn't just pick up my shit and move on over. And yeah, so that's kind of, and then the same thing, like, I don't need someone to make as much money as I do, but I need somebody to be somewhat in an equal range because I live my life a certain way. And I'm not going to not travel the way that I do, but I'm also not going to fund somebody else either because they can't keep up. And so that's just a really hard place to be at as a woman. But that confidence and that kind of standard, it came with my confidence that I've gotten through my weight loss journey. And it's funny because we talk about weight loss being kind of what we did, right? We lost weight, but it's much more work before that. Late weight loss is really a result of me working on my confidence, my self-worth, the way I speak to myself. All that came first before the weight loss did. And so that's a result of me taking care of myself differently, I guess, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. And it didn't
Um,
happen overnight. And that's the kind of thing, like when people lose weight overnight. Now you're different because you had bariatric surgery and there's a lot of women that have. I didn't. And so when women lose a lot of weight overnight in a natural, non-surgical way, you're not working through the shit.
right.
Right? It's gonna come back. You're not
Surgical or not,
right.
if you don't do the work up here, and I didn't know that going into surgery. I will say that going into surgery, I was like, I'm gonna lose this weight and everything's gonna be great. And then I lost the weight and I was like, I still want to eat cookies every day. It did
Right.
not do that work for me. And Laura Grabo says you had brain on your stomach, not on or brain. You had surgery on your stomach, not on your brain, right? So it's
Right.
you still have to do the work. It's not,
Right.
that is it's no different for either one of us. And but I wish that I knew that going into surgery so I could have done it while I was
Mhm.
losing the weight, but instead I lost it and then I couldn't figure out why it was still hard because
Right.
it is,
And I
because our
think
brains are
just,
wired differently
yeah, and just
as
for
a
me,
food addict.
it's more about just like accepting that anything you want is going to be hard. And I really want to be healthy and I really want to stay active and I really want to look a certain way, honestly.
Right.
And
Right.
so that's hard. It's an everyday thought. It's an everyday process. It's an everyday thing. And sometimes you get pissed off because you're like, well, I don't know why so and so doesn't have to suffer. Well, they're not me and I'm not them. So I can't
Right.
compare.
Right.
But I also know that it was real hard being 300 pounds, right? It was real hard um not loving myself. It was real hard allowing myself to be in certain relationships, whether it's romantic or not, and not be valued, or to lower my standards and to go to bed every night knowing I lowered my standards. It's really hard working in a job, a man's world, and getting woman's pay and not feeling like I was valuable enough to ask for more. So
We did that shit for a long time,
we did that
for
shit for
a
a long
very
time.
long
Too
time.
long. Yeah.
I can remember back to when I worked in casinos, and that was a long, I mean, I've been with the company I'm with now for 8 years. I was with Bonefish for 11 years before that. So you're talking 19 years, close
Uh-huh.
to 20 years between the two. And before that was casinos. And when I worked in the casino, I'll never forget like having, I was the one casino I was at, there was like 30 chefs and three of us were women.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a big party like on a yacht and like in New York, and the executive chef was going, and I was the assistant garde manger chef, and the garde manger chef couldn't go because he had kids, and normally he's who would have gone with him, and he's like, I really can't take this trip with the kids and blah blah blah. And next, you would think would be me because we're the ones who like decorated and set everything up and made the banquets look pretty and everything. And he was like, yeah, he's like, I can't take you because like, how would it look to have the two of us go on like this trip together as
Mm-hmm.
a man and a woman? And I'm like, what?
Right. Oh
How would
yeah.
it look? It would look like I fucking deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
And so he took like a guy chef, and I'm like, huh,
I remember working with Bonefish and going on I was the first, female in our region, the first female manager, kitchen manager, partner, all of that fun stuff. And I remember comments being made like, oh, we went on a outing of some sort and we were staying like in this cabin. And my JVP was like, oh, we have to get another like little cabin so Justy can not have to stay because she can't stay with us. You know what I mean? Just stuff like that. Like now,
right.
like
Well,
I
he was
was
a
putting
dick.
you out because I have a
Right.
vagina.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah, and
exactly.
it's just I felt bad for being a
Right.
woman instead of
Because
like,
we took up too much space.
right. And I also remember when I was up for a promotion, I thought I was up for promotion, and I'd been running this restaurant because the partner got promoted to a JVP, and I just thought, hey, I've been doing it. I've been doing really good at it, and they're going to give it to me. And literally, I was told by the acting JVP, we feel like we need to give this to somebody that has less responsibilities, meaning not a single mom, right? And they gave it to a single guy who was a young, I hate to say it, white single dude who fucked it up And I went on to have an amazing career, right? And so, but I went on to have an amazing career. But I should have spoke up for myself then and been like, wait a minute. Yeah, I'm a single mom, but it
Same.
has not affected my job. Yeah,
Right.
I'm a single mom, but you know, this, that, and the other. But instead I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll get the next one. You know what I
Yep.
mean? The
Yep.
me now, I would, hell no.
Same. Yeah. Because, and that's the me of 300 pounds when the executive chef said like, oh, how would it look or whatever, how
Mhm.
it would look is that I fucking deserve it. That,
Right.
you know, that if this function was in-house,
Hmm.
you would have had me doing the work. But now that it's a trip to New York on a yacht, you're taking one of your buddies with you. What? I would
Yep.
have spoke up. And I just feel like we didn't, because we didn't know our worth back then.
Hmm.
We
And
didn't.
even the way as women in the restaurant industry back then, now it's a little bit different. Even the way men addressed us, because we're kitchen girls, right?
Right.
And so now that I'm thinner, right? Some could say prettier, right? Then I am treated much differently than I was treated as a 300-pound woman who worked in the kitchen. Just, yeah, like I'm treated with a lot more respect now.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it kind of pisses me off because I'm the same person, I have the same knowledge, but then at the end of the day, maybe I don't carry myself the same, right?
Right.
I do carry myself a little more
But
powerful. I do carry myself with a little more confidence. But just because of my exterior, people judged me differently than they do now.
yes. And
Hmm.
I'll fight anybody who says that you're not treated differently, whether you're
You are.
bigger, you know, or you know, obese versus,
Mhm.
well, I guess I'm still considered obese right now. I'm
Me
like, whatever.
too.
Like, how am I obese? Like, I have like actual collarbone. But I'm obese. Whatever, BMI. Um, but yeah, I feel like anyone who says that you're not treated differently
Hmm.
has never walked a day in the two shoes, because you are
Right.
1,000% treated differently.
1,000%.
The doors will be held open for
Oh
you.
yeah.
People will speak to you. People will
Yep.
compliment you. That shit
Hmm.
doesn't happen when you're over 300 pounds. They'll
Right.
make sideways comments. You'll hear whispers. You'll see
Mhm.
stares. You feel it. You feel it differently.
And it's
I'll tell you
interesting.
that even that same chef that wouldn't take me on the trip, it was when I gave my notice there, um, and I was in his office, and he was, some men can be so sleazy, and he just in that world too, in that whole like chef world, he was
Mhm.
literally like, you could feel him like undressing you with his
Yeah.
eyes, like
Oh
looking
yeah.
you up and down, and oh,
Mhm.
you're not going to be my employee anymore. And I'm like, listen, you fucking married piece of shit. No,
Right.
I'm not. A, and B, I'm not going to be your anything anymore. But you know, always slick with little comments like that. I wouldn't let that slide right now. I let
Right.
it slide then
Yeah.
because I didn't have the confidence to, or
Exactly.
the self-worth to not let that slide. I let it slide. I want you to say that to me right now. Go
Right.
ahead.
You know, I'd done a contract. I was working for a local restaurant group in Charlotte or in Florida right before I moved to Charlotte. And I had a director of operations. For whatever reason, he didn't like me, probably because I was smarter than him and he knew it. And he had made a comment to one of my other employees about her fat ass. Like he said that to one of my other managers. I don't remember the context that it was in, but I was friends with the president of the company, and I said, who was also a man, who was also kind of a piggish man. So I don't say we're friends. We knew each other from our previous job. And I told him about it, and he was like, you know, I'm so sorry, this and that, and whatever. And the guy apologized to me. Like we had a sit down meeting. The guy apologized to me. The they offered me a bonus, right? Like a payoff.
A little hush
And
money.
I put my notice in. And because I wasn't working for somebody that was going to allow a man to call a woman a fat ass or a fat bitch or anything like that. And I
And sweep it
was
under the rug.
right, and sweep it under the rug. And you know what? That's what led me to my career now. And I'm so happy that it happened. I was about 225 pounds or so then. So I had lost a lot of weight. So I did have much more confidence. And it just, I don't know, it just rubbed me wrong. I later on reached out to that gentleman who was the president of that company. And I said, you handled this wrong. And I hope that in the future that you realize, how you handled this and blah, blah, blah. I wrote him a pretty big letter. I just felt better. I wouldn't have done that had I still been like that 300-pound woman. I'd be like, yeah, I am a fat ass, I guess, whatever.
Right.
But no, I wasn't going to accept it. And it really turned out well. And so it's just those type of things that, people don't realize, as a woman, especially in what we do, but being an overweight woman, how men look at you, with disgust, honestly. And, we've been talking about Jesse's dating life. Listen, I remember having, after my skin removal surgery, was talking to this guy, um, and, we were just talking about life or whatever. And I told him that I'd lost a lot of weight and that had come up. And he was like, well, how much? And I said, well, I lost about 130 pounds and I, had skin removal surgery and this and that. And he basically just told me, well, I'm not going to date somebody that used to be fat because you could get fat again. Like straight up. And I was like, okay, well, have a good life.
Thank you for saving me the time,
But
sir.
yeah. And it's just like, wow. Like before, obviously I wouldn't have had that conversation, but I would have not just been like, oh, well, that's your problem, sir. I'm freaking phenomenal. You don't know
Right.
what you just passed up, because I'm never going to be that way again. And because I was that way, I'm so much of a better human now, because I know that journey and I've been strong enough and resilient enough to take that journey. And I appreciate what I have so much more now than the average person, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like, and we talked about this a bit too, like, I feel like we know our worth enough. We've been working on the mental piece for long enough to know that, like, we can negotiate a salary. I
Mm-hmm.
negotiated my last salary. We can do that.
Yeah.
We can do that. It's not,
Mm-hmm.
I've typically was one to just take what was offered because
Mm-hmm.
it's grateful that I had the offer. I might question it a bit, but I wouldn't push it. Um, but I did negotiate my last salary, and I feel like it's things like that and I'm not going to turn this into like a man bashing thing or whatever, but men just come with this natural confidence a lot of times, not all
Yeah.
of them,
Mm-hmm.
not all of them, and some women come with it. It's just the majority of men do and the minority of women do. And it's
Right.
something that you have to learn. It is a learned art to have the confidence and to have the will to take up enough space to ask for what you want, to speak up for yourself, to know what's right, and to not just allow yourself to be treated any old way.
Right.
And not just in relationships, but in the workplace, because we both went from, listen, when we worked before at Bonefish, we were making peanuts for a long
Right.
time. We
Yeah.
made peanuts to the point when they finally got like HR and
Mm-hmm.
like became a real company. I was so grossly underpaid.
Okay.
The amount of money that they had to give me just to get me to the bottom bracket was
Mm-hmm.
sick.
Yeah.
It was sick. And I
Yeah.
was like, I will take that raise. Thank you. But it was a huge raise.
Right.
But all I could think to myself was, where was that all this time?
Mm-hmm.
All that time, where was that money? I could have been
Right.
making what I deserved all that time, but I'm making it now, so I'm gonna be grateful for it. But I'm not
Right.
gonna allow myself to continue living like that. I'm gonna get my worth.
Right.
Not
Yeah.
that I'm being greedy, but I feel like we've worked really hard in our careers to be able to live the lifestyles that we live, to have the things that we have to I'm not going back. I'm just
Right.
not.
And
There's
it
no
and it
way.
wasn't, it's not that we're better at our careers now. We've
Right.
always been hard workers. There's just less of us. And it's not because we lost the weight. It's because we did the work on our self-worth that led to weight loss. It's like a rainbow effect, right? You had to have all
Yeah, it's a
these
whole circle.
elements.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
it's
that's what led us to really push us to lose the weight, was
Mhm.
wanting to work on ourselves, was maybe being envious of other people who could, maybe women that we knew some pretty powerful women when we worked for
Right.
Bonefish that
Hmm.
were thin, attractive, powerful, went
Yep.
after what they deserved. And we saw that and we had them, I'll say, as role models to look up
Right.
to and be like, I want to be like that. And
Right.
so we had people to like kind of strive for. So there was good and there was bad in our history of our careers where we were, you know, being
Mm-hmm.
undressed with our eyes and being told we can't have the promotion that we want or the trip that we want to go on or get the salary that we want to get because we don't feel like we don't deserve it, and they justified it some way somehow, and we just know that there are women who did not take that, and we are turning ourselves into those women who are going to say like, no, I know my worth, find
Mm-hmm.
somebody better than me, go
Well, and
ahead.
I remember going to a coordinator conference, and it was my first one that I'd gone to, wow, years and years and years ago. And I was the only woman, the only kitchen back of the house woman on that one. And I remember getting on the bus, and I won't say their names, but these two guys, the
I
one was
probably
very,
know already.
you do, the one was pretty
Yeah.
loud, and he was like, oh, if they were going to let a girl, they should have got us a hot one. Like literally said that so I could hear it. And as a, 300-pound woman who's just wants nothing more than to just be successful, to raise my children by myself, and you're going to be a dick, like that hurt me. And the funny thing is that years later down the road, I may or may not have been his boss. So there we go.
Yep.
And so we're kind of male bashing a little bit, but that's okay. I'm in that mood right now, but it's more about the confidence, and I
Those are the
would
things that
not.
led us to where we are, though. It's real
Right.
stories, we're not making
Yeah.
that shit up.
Right. And for me, it's adventure too. Like a lot of the things that I've done in the last few years with just the hiking and the camping and the backpacking and the, wearing a bikini and, just the freedom that I have now, to where it's like, there's nothing I can't do because of my weight, because I don't
Right.
have that anymore. Like
Right.
my weight stopped me from riding roller coasters or, whatever it was,
Or just
feeling
having the courage to be adventurous enough to
right,
even take that. If you and I at 300 pounds, we would do a cruise that you all you could
right.
eat, but we weren't doing that camping trip.
No, no, no.
We weren't
Um,
there.
right. And just that's the way that we live our daily life has changed so much. Like I was telling Steph earlier, I mean, shit, every Friday and Saturday night, you could have found me at the bar, at the salsa club, whooping it up, drinking way too much and then walking down, because we would go to St. Pete, walking down the road to the pizza place where you could get like a slice of pizza at like 3 a.m. that was the size of your head. And that was just my life. And those people, maybe one or two are still with me, but those people are not even a part of my life anymore. And it's not because
Because
I
you
can't.
grew and they
I
didn't grow with
grew.
you. They grew in a different
Yeah.
direction. And not
And
to
that's
knock what other
fine.
people, yeah, how their lifestyle, but that's just, and the same for me. That's just not my
Mhm.
lifestyle. Will I be a part of some of that still occasionally? Yes. But I get a taste of it and I'm like, this
Yeah,
isn't me.
I went to a salsa party the other day at this it's a group that I belong to in Charlotte. It's like called 40 to 60. So it's just different events, and you can join and you meet some people. So I went to this one that was at a salsa club because I'm like, well, I haven't danced in a long time, and I speak Spanglish, Spanish, whatever. It might be fun. I met somebody really that I like there, like one friend that I think will be a friend. But I was just like, yeah, this isn't my scene. Like y'all are slamming drinks and just I just don't do that anymore. And it's not because I can't have a good time or I don't like
Or
to.
we think we're better than you.
No, it's
It's
just
not with the
that,
life that we chose for ourselves. We are happier. I'll have
yeah,
a drink. And we talked about that in the last episode too. I've been allowing myself to have one here or there because for me it was very, and that black and white all or nothing thinking, like I can't drink because that's calories that I don't want.
right.
So I can't. And then I was like, yeah, I gotta stop telling myself I can't. Like I can, I just can't do
Hmm.
it like I used to. I
Hmm.
can still have a drink here and there, one or two. I just can't do it every night,
Right.
maybe not even every week. And I have been kind of like when it comes to like the weekend, I have been having like one or two. And
Hmm.
guess what? I didn't die or get pregnant, nor have I gained weight from it. So it's
Right.
like it is okay. It's
Right.
okay. But
Yeah.
yeah, we just but it's just not my lifestyle or your lifestyle to have like binges like that.
It's just a
We
one-off,
don't binge
right?
on
Like,
really anything
no,
anymore. That's a
no.
lifestyle of the past.
And it's kind of just a very consistent, I have a very consistent lifestyle. And consistency is a little boring sometimes, but boring is way better than the hot mess that I was. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I just, I go to the gym, I do this, I have my little routine. Once in a while I step outside my box, I'll go on adventures, whatever. But for the most part, it's just a very consistent life. And
Yeah.
that's good. It's good for me because I am a very I'm not as I haven't always been as consistent. And so, I have a tendency to be a little bit outrageous sometimes, and I have a big personality. And but I think I was that way because I was seeking attention. And now I'm not seeking
Same.
attention. I
Right.
give myself attention. So I'm just not seeking it. And so my personality even has changed to be just a little, now I can be outrageous. But
Just more
just to,
reserved. Yeah.
yeah, I'm much more reserved, and I'm much more just thoughtful and purposeful.
Intentional. Yeah.
And yeah. And that has, probably come with age too. But I don't know, I whooped it up pretty good for a long time.
Yeah. And I talked a little bit about this as well, but I've in the last podcast, but I've always kind of in my mind, I always thought that eventually I would, own my own restaurant. The older I get, the kind of less I want to do that because it seems overwhelming. But
Mhm.
like we've started, my husband and I have started a meal prep business, and I don't think the 300-pound me would have the courage to
Uh-huh.
to do it,
Mhm.
or would I have the stamina to do it? Because I do it on my days off.
Right.
So I work
Right.
all week. And then meal prep is done on Sunday. So my Sunday is spent cooking
Mhm.
all day and then delivering food.
Mhm.
And it's something that, I know now. I would have never done it before because it would seem overwhelming and it's something that I couldn't commit to. But I know now that you've got to put the hard work out in the beginning, just
Mhm.
like with weight loss. I have to put that hard work out to get this business up and running.
Mhm.
Um, and in order for it to become something big, because like I'm a big dreamer. You and I are the same. We have these big dreams, we have these big thoughts, like
Mhm.
we want to do more than this podcast, we want to do all this stuff, but if you don't take action on something, sometimes it's just nothing but a dream. And
Yeah.
so I don't think that I would have, I have a husband who's supportive and has been in the kitchen helping me. It's funny, he's like my little sous chef. He'll do the chops, he'll plate stuff up, we'll talk it over and make sure like this looks how we want it to look and everything. But that I have somebody who is willing to put the time in and to help me and to make it something for us to do, but also um who we talked about this a little bit before too, but when we're slacking on exercise and things like that, that he'll pick that piece up too. So it's great to
Mhm.
have somebody who can help you to build that confidence as well, because I
Mhm.
could just be slinking into being that person that just accepts whatever, or I can be that person who knows what I want and is willing to take the risks that it takes to kind of have like a bigger payoff. This may turn into nothing, it could fizzle out in 3 months for all I know, but I'm going to give it my everything and hope that it turns into something bigger. But
And then
you
if
can't
it
get a big
does,
reward without a risk.
but that if it does turn into something, fizzle out, it's not going to throw you off track of what your goals are in life, right?
Right,
So
exactly.
before it would have been like, oh, I'm a failure, and you
Right,
wouldn't even done it in the first place. And
right.
I don't want to like get too much into like church or the Bible or whatever, but one of the sermons a few weeks ago was about living your life as a reaper instead of a sower. And so for me, that really resonated. I say a lot of times, like, you got to do now what aligns with what you want most. And it's the same thing. For so many years, I was just a worker, getting through life because I was a single mom. I didn't get child support. I didn't have any help, nothing. My
Right.
kid didn't go anywhere on the weekends, right? So both my kids didn't go anywhere. And so it was kind of like, now I live my life for the benefit of the future instead of living my life to just tread water. And
Right.
that's a difference as well. So when I make a decision on a Friday night when I'm not doing anything, just to keep my ass home and hang out with my dog, yeah, it might be lonely, but it's so much better than making a decision to fulfill a need right now of company or alcohol or pizza or strange men, whatever vice you want to pick,
Mhm.
because it's going to be better for me tomorrow, or it's going to
Right.
be better for me down the road. And so really thinking about, you find joy in reaping the benefits of your work instead of just working and working and working, just shedding tears all day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're
So,
designing your life versus living it. You're designing
right.
it to be what you want it to be, and
Yeah.
you're in charge of it, because before we weren't in charge. We were just like
No. Right.
paddling and trying to stay afloat, and now we're designing, and
Right.
we're purposefully making it what we want it to be.
Hmm.
Everything that we try doesn't always work out. The last
Right.
cow pie you try, cow patty guy,
Right.
he
Cow
didn't
patty
work
didn't work
out.
out, but
Right. And that's
getting back up on
okay.
the horse,
That's it.
you know,
Yeah.
and not letting that throw me off my track.
Right.
And, not like we'd said before, not saying, well, let me lower my standards a little bit to find somebody that I will fit into their life. No, sir, you got to fit into mine. Like, or we need to fit into each other's. But
Right.
it's just a very different mindset. I allowed men in particular to treat me in a certain way, or I would give my all and not really be receiving an equal in whatever that is. I would fund things that should have been an equal partnership, and I just don't do that anymore, right? And so even I caught myself recently. I prefer if I go on a first date to pay half because I don't know you, you don't know me. Um, but I stopped offering, you know, just because. Why? Why am I doing that? Like, that's more, I want a man who is a more traditional role and who can provide and so it's like, why am I offering? Why am I
Right.
already at the beginning offering to take on the masculine role or part of the masculine role? And so I just stopped, and nobody's like said anything about it.
Right. They're
So,
not like, this bitch not
right.
offering to
So,
pay.
and if somebody does say something about that, then fine, I'll pay half. I don't care. But I'm not offering anymore. I'm not offering up anything to anybody if I'm not going to be getting if something out of it. And I know that's kind of selfish, but before I would have given and given and given and given and given and taken
Right.
crumbs.
And
And
sometimes we
now,
would have not even just half, we would have paid the whole darn thing just to be
yeah,
grateful that somebody,
right,
went out with us. Like, oh
right,
yeah,
right.
okay.
And so that woman is a completely different woman than I am now. But again, it's not because I'm physically smaller, it's because I think differently about myself.
Yeah.
And I don't want people to think like, oh my God, you lose weight, you're smaller, you take up less space, your whole life is going to be better. It's not.
Right.
It's just I think about myself better. I still have moments when, I'm self-conscious about my body when I'm getting ready to go on a date and I'm like, oh, okay, well, this guy saw my picture or whatever. And, um, you know, I just always am a little bit nervous because I'm not a petite woman. I'm, over 5'9", and I'm big. I have broad shoulders. I'm curvy, and I just always think of a woman as being like petite and feminine. But it's just me in my head, and I have to talk myself out of that. And
Right.
or when I, catch myself in the mirror, sometimes I'm like, yeah, bitch, and sometimes like, ooh, look at that back fat. You know what I mean? And so it's just you got to just your life isn't better because you no longer wear a size 24,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And so,
And I think they came hand in hand. I think it is it is the love that we had for ourselves that led us to the path to want to be healthier and to lose
mhm,
weight. So it was kind of like a constant cycle. Like, you lose some
mhm,
weight, you build some more confidence. You build enough confidence to lose some more weight, to build some
right,
more confidence, to lose some
right,
more weight, to build a little
mhm,
bit more, to lose some more weight. And I feel like it just, especially for you, for me, yes, I had surgery, so and mine didn't quite work like that. It did every time that I would lose weight on my own, when we followed Corinne, when we counted
right,
macros, when I did all the millions of things that I did before to lose weight. I did that out of love for myself. I had
mhm,
the surgery thinking it was going to fix everything. It did not. And I quickly had to learn how to then, now what do I do? So then it was a crash course on loving yourself, and
mhm,
and doing the mental work to not allow myself to gain the weight back, because then I had the second chance of Manjaro to help take the weight off once that was done, it was up to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not easy. And I
No.
would punch someone in the face that said that it was. You can say I took the easy way out all you want, but there was not a goddamn thing about any of what I do that's easy. Not a
Right.
thing.
Right.
Not when it comes to
Yeah.
our careers, not when it comes to our weight loss, not when it comes to our health. It is you're not lucky when you get up to go to the gym in the morning and do a double workout. Just like I'm not lucky when I get up to take,
Right.
Chelsea to school, go to the gym, come home, work, do whatever else I had to do, Girl Scouts, soccer. None of it's easy. None of it's easy, but it's what I've chosen for my life,
Mm-hmm.
what we've chosen to do for our lives. So it's not easy. What
Mm-hmm.
would be easy would to be to work a 36-hour week, come home and pop our feet up on the couch.
Right.
That's easy, but that's
Right.
not who we are.
And it's funny because I do make my own schedule. And so I every morning when I'm up at 5:30, I'm like, why are you up at 5:30? You could work out any time of the day. But
Yeah.
that's what I do because I know if I
That's your
don't do
comfort
it,
zone at this point.
yeah, if I don't do it in the morning, I'm going to spend the whole day trying to talk myself out of it. So I'm just going to get it done because
Right.
it's important to me.
Right.
And now I've kind of built a circle of friends at the gym and we high five each other and it's kind of a fun thing. So
It's
um
same for me, but mine's at 8:30.
yeah, yeah. Um
Mostly
but
because we
anyway,
actually talked about that at the gym the other day. Because she was like, she's like, I could see if we have a better turnout if I do like a 7:30 instead of 8:30 class. And I was like, I'll be honest, with school back, I can't do a 7:30 class because she gets dropped off at 8. So I can,
mhm,
on the days that I have to take her to school, I can drop her at 8 and then be at class at 8:30, but I can't be at a 7:30 class. So I would miss out on that. She's like, oh, you make a good point. So any like mothers or fathers, because we do have some men in our class, if they have to drop the kids off and then come, 7:30 is not going to work.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
and
so we had those conversations, but and then same thing, the one, and that's we do start to build a community because then I usually pack my stuff up and I go. I know the instructor of that body pump. She's part of our friend group in the area anyhow. So she and I were talking, and then one of the other women who's there regularly, she was like, yeah, she's like, I don't think I could be here at 7:30 either. So we were chit-chatting. And then she told me her name, and God, I'm bad with names. I already forget what it is. And I told her my name. And that's how it starts. And that's how you build your little tribe, and
yeah.
you just have to build your tribe and I wouldn't have had the confidence to do that either at 300 pounds, to be in the gym every day like that or several times a week, and making friends like at
Right.
the gym. That
Because
wouldn't have been me.
I wanted to disappear
Blink in,
and
blink out.
like get
Yep.
in, get out. That's why I did body pump because you go in a room and I would go in the back row so no one else could like be behind
Oh, I
me.
move right up front now. I used to be a
Yeah.
back row
Now
too.
I'm up
Now I'm right.
front.
I
I
want to
teach
see that
now.
mirror up close. Yeah.
Yeah, like I can teach body pump now, but it's interesting how like also when I used to go to the gym, I used to want to hide. And now I go to the gym and I'm like kind of the center because of that time slot, right? Like I know I high five this guy, I high five this guy, talk to this girl, and like I'm very social and it's just different because I would have never felt confident to
No.
just even walk through the gym. So my gym is kind of bougie and there's some really good looking men there. I mean, they're boys, but these young men, they're real good
Eye
looking. And
candy. Yeah.
yeah, and just to like walk through where the men typically work out upstairs to where I do my classes, before I would have just been like mortified, like, oh my
You
gosh,
couldn't have
just
gotten through there fast enough, right?
keep your eyes forward, whatever. And now I'm just saying hi to people, smiling, like whatever. And so it's just a different way of movement, a different way that I move through life, and it's just such a freeing way for sure.
Right. Yep. Because that's the old us did not live the same way. And that's
No.
just it. People, oh, you changed. You goddamn right I did.
Yeah.
That was the point. The
Right.
point wasn't to lose weight and still have no self-worth, still like live that same life. No, you're right. I did. I did a lot
Mhm.
of work on myself to get to where I am today and I truly believe that you teach people the way that you want to be treated. And so
Mhm.
as I navigate what I want in life and I know how I want to live my life, I can teach people the way that they need to treat me if they want to stay in my life.
Right.
That's it. Like you can
Yeah.
either treat me the way I deserve or not. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's a two-way door. Walk in or
Mm-hmm.
walk out, but you can stay or you can go, but it's up to you. But I'm not
Right.
going to allow myself to be treated the way that I would have back then.
Right. And I'm the same way for sure. And I do think that also another difference is that instead of, and honestly, I don't really care what people think about me, but instead of people looking at me and seeing somebody who is not capable, right? Or whatever judgments they had on me, now people look at me and I'm an inspiration. And
Yeah.
and that is very important to me because when I was 300 pounds, I did not know one woman who lost 130 pounds and was willing to talk about it and talk about the struggles, talk about the insecurities, talk about the decisions she made, talk about her lack of self-worth, all of that stuff. And we both are very open about that. For
Yeah.
me to put my body on Instagram with my skin hanging was not easy for me. But I also knew, hey, I need that for myself, but I also need other people to see
Mm-hmm.
um what you can do, what your my final my final result is going to be. And with my upcoming surgery in a month, that's like the last step to that whole process. And so going from being somebody who people looked at me as someone who was weak or, oh, Justy, she's a pretty girl, but
Pretty
whatever.
face. Right.
Right. To now being like, holy, like that inspires me. Like, you're so strong. You're so, you know, whatever. It is a different, that gives me more confidence in myself to continue being somebody who lives this life, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yep. It
Yeah.
does. And I feel like, and that is part of the reason I think why we put ourselves in the spotlight,
Yeah.
why I started my Instagram and really being a member of the weight loss community, because I know if people are watching me, I am more likely to hold myself accountable because it's,
Yeah.
well, not so much anymore. But in the beginning, because for some reason it was acceptable for me to let myself down, but not acceptable to let others down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was the thing for me. Like, hey, I'm gonna get this going. I need this support. I'm gonna put myself in the spotlight because I know people are gonna see, oh, she's losing weight, and I don't want them to see, oh, she's gaining weight, she's gaining weight.
Or she
So I did it.
disappeared.
Right. Exactly. And that's what happens to a lot of people. And when they disappear, it's probably not a good scene and it breaks your heart a little bit.
Right.
When you find your people in the community and then they're just gone. It's like
And that's
I
the same reason that I typically take group fitness classes, is because I'm competitive with other people and not so much with myself. So if I go work out by myself, I'm kind of a lollygagger. But if I am in a class, I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna lift as much as
right,
the men, and I'm gonna be faster than the skinny bitches. And with all respect, which I'm
right,
not faster, but I strive to be. I'm a
yeah,
slower. I'm not a very agile person, but
right,
I strive to be. And when I work out on my own, even though I'm really good at keeping promises to myself with like my food and actually getting to the gym and all that, the actual workout, I'm just not good at it.
right,
Um,
yep,
so yeah.
yep,
But anyways, so that's kind of all the things that weight loss has done for us
yeah.
over
And
the
it's not
years.
things that if you would have asked us the question, what do you think, weight loss is gonna, if you lose 130 pounds, what do you think that's gonna do for you? If somebody would have asked me that 6 years ago, I'd probably say, oh, I'll be wearing a size 10. I'll be this. It would all be
I'll
scale
weigh this much.
clothing.
Yep. I'll
Right.
be this size. Yeah.
And I'll be
Uh-huh.
happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not how it works. That is
Right.
not how it works. But
It's
that's
not
what
how it
we would
works.
have thought. And I think that's what a lot of people think going into it. And that's just not it.
Mhm.
So I guess I would say that if you are in the beginning of your journey, if you're starting this journey, um, and you are the 300-pound us that we were, back in the day, start doing the head work now
Yep.
and save yourself the heartache, especially if you're having surgery, because I was able to lose, my weight within like a year and a half or so. Um, if you are able to lose it faster like that and you don't do the mental work, you're going to get there and not know what to do with yourself. Which
Yeah.
is exactly
Yeah.
what happened to me. And then guess what? Just like everybody else, so not everybody, but the majority, I had regain. Not
Mhm.
enough to put me in a bad place, but enough to like, shit, like I gotta climb some of this mountain again.
Mhm.
And I don't want to keep climbing the mountain unless it's an actual mountain.
Right.
That I'll
Right.
climb.
And for
But I
me,
want
I
to,
think I would say that just keep going, because you at 300 pounds, if you've never been less than that, or if you've always been a big girl like me, you don't realize the freedom that you're going to feel. Like, you might say, oh, well, I'll be a size 10, or I'll be this weight. But I'm telling you, at the end, there's so much more, and
yeah,
we're living it now. But if I even knew more of that as I was going through my journey, it would have helped me get through the times when I wanted to give up, or the times when I did backpedal and then move forward and then backpedal, because I never lost a huge amount of weight at once. It was just slow, stop, gain a little, slow, stop, gain a little. And it would have helped me through those humps,
right,
knowing a story like mine, or knowing a story like Steph's, where it's like, okay, it's not just your size, it is all of this stuff that is
right.
just so freeing from the bullshit that you're telling yourself now.
And you probably are going to have to cut people out of your
Yeah.
life because we
Yeah.
both have left some really good friends behind.
Yeah. Yep.
Some really good, because it's just you are not, it's hard because like my best friend of years
Hmm.
just had such a negative mindset. I had to leave it behind. I
Yeah.
can't live like that anymore. I can't live like that. I'm not out to be vindictive towards anybody. I don't like that
Yeah.
feeling.
The
I want
drama.
to feel good about myself. I want to work in a move and in a positive manner. And it's almost like manifesting, like that shit is real. The
Hmm.
energy you put out is the energy you get back. And if I'm putting
Yeah.
out this and this negative energy, that's all I'm bringing back to my life.
Right.
And so we
Yeah.
had to cut people off because they didn't get it. And these
Or
are
if
friends of
I,
this. She was my friend of 20 years, and
yeah.
had to leave it behind. And I know you have similar cases too. It's just like I don't. You're either gonna grow with me or not. I
when
can't.
And when you just said, what you put out is kind of what you get, it's kind of the situation. And we've talked about, in my situation, is I used to put out the energy that I didn't have a lot of self-worth, right? And that I was desperate for attention or what have you. And that's
Same.
what I got, right? I got
Right.
attention, not really good attention. Now I don't put off that energy, and I will go throughout this life, and men do not approach me like they used to, right? They used to see my energy of kind of maybe desperation or what have you. And they were looking to get something from me that I was willing to give. And now I carry myself in a way, and it gets kind of lonely sometimes, because I'm like, I'll go to a bar, watch a baseball game, and not one man will talk to me. But that, I'm okay with that, because at least I'm not putting out that desperate energy.
Right.
And
Because that's all
I
you're gonna
think,
get back. You're gonna
because
get
that's all I'm
back
going to get
somebody
back.
looking for a quick kill. Right. And that's not what
Right.
we're
Exactly.
after.
Exactly. So anyways, there's a lot that you will discover on your journey, or
Yeah.
if you
You
just
just
stick
stick
with it.
with it. I know it
Mhm.
sounds so cliche, but like trust the process, stick with it, because the Justy and Steph that was having a blast on our cruises back 8 years ago was our first one.
Mhm.
I don't think we could have ever, we're living a life beyond our wildest
Wireless
expectations
shoes.
right now.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
for sure.
we would have never imagined ourselves here.
Right.
Not in several aspects. We both
Right.
bought our houses around the same time.
Right.
We just really moved through life differently because we remember when we did the one cruise, we're like, oh, we'll go to the gym. We took selfies of ourselves. We worked out like on a cruise. That was the start of our
Mhm.
like, we're going to
Yeah.
get healthier, even if it's just like one little thing at a
They,
time.
yeah. And
Yeah.
it's really worked out. So I think what we're going to be talking about next is the scale,
Yes.
and then our body scans.
Yep.
Yep. And
Yeah,
then,
because it's all going to directly play into each other.
yeah,
Because I'll have gotten another body scan by then, and you may have too if you do it monthly. By the
yeah.
time that comes around, but Justy had some really good positive feedback from hers. Mine was skewed, so I'm looking forward to having another one. But yeah, so we're gonna talk about the scale and how it will for sure fuck with your mind.
Mhm.
But we're not gonna let it get the best of us.
Yes. Yes.
And then directly related to our body scans and like just how do you know if you're in that calorie deficit? Because we want to do the right thing. We want to be in that deficit. Like
Mhm.
we want to, not that we're trying to lose a ton of weight. We're just like trying to get this like 10 pounds or whatever.
Yeah. That last 10 pounds is a bitch, man.
But I'll tell you
Woo.
what though, especially yeah, in our phase of life as we approach 48, um, it's harder.
Yeah.
It's harder. I don't care what
It
anyone
is.
says, calorie deficit or not, that bitch is harder
And
with these
there's just so much
hormones.
information out there with, oh, eat more, eat less, eat this, eat that. And it's just like, oh my God. And we'll get into it, but there's definitely, we have a dietitian that's really going to give us the facts instead of,
Right. Yeah.
like the actual real facts instead of whatever you're reading here and there. Or
Yeah.
my friend did this and it worked for her. Well, that doesn't work
Right.
for everybody.
I'm not
So
drinking apple cider vinegar, so no.
no, I'm not doing it. So yeah, and then we kind of double recorded. So we just talked about our self-love. Steph has promised to do a little bit better at it. And
On
mine
it. You know
was
what I think I'm gonna do, and this is
huh,
gonna sound so corny. I stopped getting my nails done because they grew so well after they healed. I mean, I filed them before this trip because I am at work, but they're all like same length, like they're
nice.
strong. I'm like, I don't think I ever want to get my nails done again. It murdered them. But I
Hmm.
need a pedicure. I've been doing my own, and I think
Yeah,
depending what time I get out of work tomorrow, I think I might just go do that
do
after
it.
work. Yeah.
Do it. And I get my nails done. So but I
Yeah.
actually have to get them taken off. And
Before your
it's the
surgery.
dip,
Yeah.
but I
I
do have
did
to
bring
get them.
this one though. This one, not the middle one, but this one, they were so long. I had a stress ball that I was squeezing and I popped it because they were so long. I was like, oops.
Well, and
So
I can't get them, I can't have them too long because when have my hands on the barbells, they'll dig into my hands. So I kind of keep them
yes,
short.
that as well.
But
So I had actually had to file them, but I was like, I am impressed. Aside from this one breaking, they're all like actually they have like I don't know, you can see them or not. I don't know what the heck I'm doing here, but they have some length to them. They've got a
nice.
little, but I'm like, and I shaped them up. I'm like, I don't think I ever want to get them done again because they murdered them, poor
But a
things.
pedicure is always worth it. And
Yes.
I'm going tomorrow. So I am doing something self-lovish tomorrow. I'm going to Asheville
Yeah.
with a friend. We're going to go to lunch. We're going to do some shopping. We both have hair appointments. We're going to get our hair done and just kind of spend the day in Asheville just exploring. And I just took a day off in the middle of the week. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm
Fun.
doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Cool. We're going
anyways,
camping this weekend.
nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
we're gonna go. We reserved a state park. We're gonna go because we both have a long weekend because of the holiday.
Oh yeah.
So we're just gonna go up to New York. Yeah, we're gonna go up to New York and camp 2 nights and come back.
Nice. So that's self-love. But
Yeah.
anyway, so that's it for now.
Yep. But
Yep.
we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.